Hi, this is Jim Jordan with Create Vibrant Health, and today I want to make another quick little video on the topic is masking and shame. The masking thing is, of course, really big now in my state, Oregon, and many states. It's being mandated in all public places to the point where even I was in the farmer's market and I was told outdoors, "Where's your mask if you want to buy these vegetables?" So there are, medical exemptions that people have, but the big question is, why all of a sudden, why is apparently the numbers are going up in the cases, of course, because there's more testing. Naturally, numbers will go up. And governors are starting to issue more firm restrictions, and some states are even shutting down again, locking down restaurants and stuff. So the question I have, there's several things that came up in the last week or so regarding masks. And actually, prior to getting to that, I want to review a little something I talked about in a previous video on the testing, the COVID-19 testing. And really, all these policies we're seeing are based on the assumption that there's a particular virus that's been identified and that virus is the causative agent of a particular disease, a particular illness that is lethal, at least in point something percent of the people that are identified having it. And my last video I made on the PCR test, and the other test too, indicated I was making the point that there's no real correlation between these tests and a person having a virus. I know that sounds hard to imagine, but there's not been done. There's been no purification of this virus. And the PCR test was the inventor of it, Kary Mullis, said you can't use it to determine if a person has an infectious disease. It can be manipulated in many ways to get 100% positive or 100% negative. So that can explain why some cases with some locations there's very few cases and others there's more. So the test it's not only not accurate, it doesn't provide any useful information, and it doesn't even point to anything specifically. These nucleic acids could be produced internally, called exosomes, in reaction to many things: stress, infections, environmental toxins, all kinds of things. Okay, so there's no way you can actually have this test done and have a positive, even if it is positive, and correlate it to a virus. So it doesn't make any sense to rely on these tests. These numbers are meaningless, and the policies are based these government policies where we're mandating masking and potential lockdowns again, and all kinds of these things that are useless. They're just harming society. Are not based on any facts, no scientific facts. And that, of course, leads to a lot of people who still believe what they're being told, that these numbers mean something, and that the people that are ill, that they know about, are ill with a virus. May or may not be true. They're wearing masks, and they believe that the masks are helpful, despite the fact there's no consensus on them being useful. In fact, everything I've read indicates they're not useful at all. They're not designed, even on the mask, the inserts, the box the mask comes in, it says it doesn't protect you from a virus. But nonetheless, lots of people believe they are still, probably because of all the TV they watch and the things they believe and what I consider propaganda. And worse than that is they're shaming people. They're trying to make people feel bad when they're not wearing a mask. And there was a story that came to my attention through a friend who has a friend that he knows that came across a young fellow in a store not wearing a mask. And the friend of my friend confronted him and said, "Hey, you got to wear a mask." And the guy said, "Well, I can't. I have a medical condition. And even though I'm not legally required to tell you what it is, I'll tell you that I have anxiety from wearing a mask. I have trouble breathing." And later, this friend of a friend was reporting back to my friend that he still felt justified in shaming this guy, trying to make him feel bad about not wearing a mask, like he's not doing his civic duty to wear a mask, which of course doesn't actually protect a person from a virus, and there's no actual scientific proof a virus exists. So at this point, at least. So what it turns out is the way it's playing out in my mind is that it's the people that are absolutely certain that they're doing something good for society. From my view, actually, it's harming society. They have more risk of being ill from wearing these masks that you can accumulate bacteria in them. You deprive yourself of oxygen. A lot of health risks involved in wearing the mask. And they're, on top of being wrong about the mask being useful, they're also blaming people and shaming people that are not wearing masks, saying they're selfish, when in fact they might just be knowledgeable and or believe that there's a virus out there that they need to protect, but they have a medical exemption. So what's shameful to me is the way these people with the masked people some masked people are treating those that don't wear masks, and that's shameful. And I think when down the road, when more truth comes out, there are people that are doing that are going to feel really bad. And I encourage people who choose to wear masks, and most of us will be mandated to now, but if there's options to not wear them, to not judge a person. They may know something that you don't know. In my case, I actually, the few times I've worn a mask, I felt ashamed of wearing one because I knew that it wasn't necessary. In fact, it was counterproductive, but I was caving in at times to pressure, or I didn't want to have a hassle at a store like Costco or something. And I just did it or my dentist office, I just didn't want to make people feel uncomfortable. But I know it does not protect you from anything in terms of a virus. They have other purposes. And the mask boxes even tell you it doesn't protect you from it. So there's no doubt of the truth of the position, from my view, that I have. And the irony is that those that are clinging to the mask as a protection are incorrect, and they're also making things worse on other people, and they're caving into something that they should not be caving into. People should be free to choose, even if given the benefit of the doubt that there is some slight bit of evidence that there's a benefit. There is no consensus, obviously, in the scientific community about masks, and even giving in to the belief that there is a virus that has never been a test for specifically. There is still no consensus on what works to prevent the transmission. So if there is no consensus, what is the rationale for mandating a specific policy when there is no clear science to back that policy? Why not let people choose for themselves between the competing views of what's going on, what is right for themselves? That's what in a free society we do. But I fear that we're moving away from a free society into a society of more authoritarian society, and a society of snitches and tattletales and just disgusting things, like you see in communist countries, people telling on each other that he's not wearing a mask and pick them up. And I feel the shame I feel ashamed for these people that are doing that. I feel saddened by them more than anything. I feel it is a bit of a disgrace that we as Americans have fallen to that level of naivete and gullibility. And I tried my best to give the benefit of the doubt, and I've tried to reach out to people with the best information I can, and periodically it lands, I think, and more often than not it doesn't. And I'm sure I've made more, some more people are not really fond of my position. I get that. That's okay. You're entitled to that view, and and I'm entitled to mine. But I make this video because I was really saddened and sort of disgusted by this man who felt it was okay to shame a person who even had a medical exemption. He felt so insecure and so terrified of this thing that there's no real evidence for, that he would do that to another human being, even though he has a mask himself. He can protect himself. He can take hydroxychloroquine or whatever the hell he wants, and still, the poor fellow, and I felt saddened for him that he would be that. It's a weakness to put a person down who's in a weakened position. That shows weakness and deep, deep fear. And I feel sad because if you really It's available. There's no excuse now. On the internet, you can do your own research. You don't have to believe a source. You can look at all the conglomeration of sources and average them out even averaged out. The best that you can come to is no consensus, and therefore no consensus. Then let people choose and honor people's choice and take protection for yourself that you think is appropriate, which is fine. I have no problem with people wearing masks if they want to. I don't think it helps. It probably makes things worse, but that's your choice. But we live in states now where executives are feel somehow justified in deciding for everybody what to do, despite not having any real science, substantial science on their side. So that is a real problem. And we're looking in our state, one potential positive thing I can say is we're looking in our state to recall our governor. There's a big movement for that, and there's a reasonably good chance that can happen. People from all political parties are doing that. I'm, conservative, liberal, moderate, libertarian, all kinds of people are not happy with these decisions that are being made that have wreaked havoc on our economies and the health of the people of the state of Oregon. And they're basically bad policies based on bad science, very poorly thought through policies. I've talked to my state senator and county commissioners, and I don't know if there's a lot they're going to do, but I know the people have direct action. So there still is direct action we can take, and there's many other strategies that we can use to protect our rights and our liberties and to bring about truth. Of course, truth is being censored more on the internet, but there's always ways to get it through. There's other avenues. There's end runs. There's ways to sneak it around. For those that are really popular on YouTube that are getting shut down, there's other platforms. So today was just a little video about the mask and shaming. And as I said for myself, the only shame I've ever felt is when I put on a mask. Not wearing a mask, I don't feel any shame. I know I'm not a risk to anybody. I don't have any fear about that. I feel sad that they're so terrified and so, from my view is, sort of naive. And they have not done sufficient research. Again, it's available to people. They can find it if they look, and there's no need to be so afraid. There's nothing out there. The tests are not, they don't tell you anything of value at all. Even the inventors of the test doesn't tell you anything of value. And the FDA even says, even the antibody test can't be used to diagnose infectious disease. So there's no scientific evidence that a person tests positive on these tests has a particular virus. That's just a fact. I challenge anyone to debate that. But for now, mask and shaming. So stop that shaming, because you shame yourself as you shame others for not wearing masks, because they may very well be much smarter than you, or they might be just disabled in some way. So that's shameful to shame a person who's, that's not conscious. So take care. If you think it's helping you, take care of yourself, keep it to yourself, mind your business. And that's about all I can say for now. So Jim Jordan from Create Vibrant Health, wishing you a wonderful day. Take care.